Hello there, my crafty friends. It's Ashley Pfeiffer, the maker behind Stamped AF. I wanted to do a face-to-face introduction because it's been a while. So Kelly and I are featuring the Best Dressed suite in our kit class this month, and we think you're just going to love the designs that we've come up with. If you are in Canada, you are shopping with me, and if you are in the US, you are shopping with Kelly. You will make two each of 4 designs, 2 designed by me, 2 designed by Kelly, and then each of us have a bonus design in our blog hop. Each of them have video instruction. Let's get our craft on. Okay, so this is the design that we're going to be making. This is the bonus design, and it's a fun fold card. Has a fun window there, and it says "Hello Fabulous," which can be a little hard to read in the video, but trust me, in person it's just fine. And then on the inside, "Be as bold as your lipstick." So let's get right to it, shall we? I have gone ahead and, using the largest of the stitch nested dies, I have die cut out of this gorgeous DSP and some lovely lipstick cardstock this largest die, so we can set that aside. So that is this part here. Maybe it'll help if I keep this here for now. Okay, so we have a regular A2 size side folding card. So it is 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. And this is regular Whisper White. I found that when I use the thick, it is perhaps a little too thick. So this is just regular, and this is 8 by 5 1/4, and I've scored it at 2 inches and 4 inches. And I cannot take credit for this fun fold. I feel like everything has already been done before, but I saw Connie Stewart share it last week, and I just thought it was genius. So shout out to Connie Stewart, who I'm sure won't be watching my video, but doesn't hurt, right? So we need to die cut our window in this front panel, and then we are going to emboss. And I chose to use the tufted embossing folder. You can use whatever embossing folder you'd like, or just leave it as is. The key is that you always want to do your die cutting before you're embossing, because if you die cut after, you're just going to flatten the embossing that you've just done. So you want to work smarter, not harder, and do all your work twice. I mean, it's not work, but you know what I mean. Okay, so the tufted embossing folder, and we're just going to put it into that score line, which can be kind of hard to see, but just put it as far as it'll go on the inside. Now we are going to run this through sideways, which is not something that's usually recommended, but I also don't want to fold this around and have a mark from that. So we're going to put it through this time. Typically when you're embossing, you want to put that seam in to your Big Shot or your die cutting machine. Okay, so the card base is ready, ready to go. We can actually put this part in here now, or we can hold off. It doesn't really matter. It's not going to make or break it. So maybe we will set it aside for now and do the coloring that we need to do. So I have just 1/4 of a sheet of Whisper White regular cardstock. I'm going to move these 2 over here because we need to stamp and emboss our sentiment on there. I'm just going to open this up. So I need 3 lipstick tubes, and I also need the perfume bottle. And you don't have to have this here, but I thought it was a nice way to hide that "Hello Fabulous" and have it as like a secondary surprise. I should mention, in this kit to go, you are getting all of the cardstock to make 2 each of the 4 designs, as always. You are getting a full package of the Best Dressed tassels. You are getting a package of the Noble Peacock rhinestones. You are getting a package of the mint macaron ribbon, which I have tucked away to do my other videos. So you're getting a full roll of this, and you are getting 1 blender pen. So blender pens come in packs of 3, but you are going to receive 1. So in Canada, you are getting all of this for $60. There is an option to add on the bundle if you don't already have it. You're definitely going to want this bundle if you're doing this class to go. I mean, feel free to substitute it with what you have, but every one of our designs has been based on this stamp set and dies. This is one where you can't, I mean, in my opinion, you can't choose one or the other. Like you don't want to get just the stamp set and not the dies, because hello, the dies are incredible. This is something that I cased from Bronwyn Eastley, who is in, I can never remember. She is in the South Pacific. It's either Australia or New Zealand. And this is the die to make the purses. Sorry, this is the die. This is a die cut already done. So I've used the designer elements as the button with a magnet here. We've got gold foil for the buckles. We've got one of the best dressed tassels that I colored. And I mean, I can take no credit for this design. Bronwyn is a genius, but you see you can fold it so that these are tucked in, or you can have them pulled out as it just was. But it's a gorgeous set. And this is actually just made from one of the recruiting brochures that Stampin' Up! Has. So it was a great use. Great upcycling. Okay, so I'm just going to ink this up. Let it sit for a few seconds. It's pretty just as it is, isn't it? And then we will do 3 of the lipstick tubes. And trust me, in my other designs, I use more of the stamps. I just wanted specifically makeup in this one. But let's get the Hello Fabulous. You could do it in silver, you could do it in whatever you want. I chose to have it in white. So I am going to use my embossing buddy because I've had my hands all over this. And let's do it on a darker spot. Hello, fabulous. Okay, so I'm going to heat up my heat tool and I'll be right back. Okay, so you wouldn't have been able to hear that, but I like to heat up my heat tool at full strength, like at the 2 heat setting, the second heat setting. And then I like to emboss using the lower setting so that it doesn't warp my paper as much. And because this is DSP, I don't want it all warped. I have a little bit of powder that kind of snuck around. So in order to keep this nice and sturdy, I'm going to glue it to my lovely lipstick piece, and I'm going to turn this around so it's the right side out. Doesn't really matter one way or the other, but sometimes it's in those little details. Luckily, that didn't set very quick because it was offset just the tiniest little bit. The nice thing about working with liquid glue is you have a few seconds of wiggle room. Okay, so I'm just going to set that aside with some D blocks on it to flatten it out. And now we'll get to coloring. Now I chose to use some of the colors that are in the DSP. So I used the lovely lipstick blends, the Rococo Rose blends, and the Flirty Flamingo. blends. And then we need Smoky Slate and the light and dark basic black. Oh, and Mango Melody. It seemed like a lot less when I was coloring. Okay, so I am going to color this and I'll speed through parts of it. You can see that I've got a highlight going all the way down. I want to keep that. The perfume was very simple. I actually just used the dark Petal Pink, I believe, and Light Pool Party. And if in doubt, just kind of scribble off to the side. I'm thinking now that I used the light Petal Pink. So just very quickly, roughly, it doesn't have to be perfect. That's all there is to the parfum. Very simple. Okay, so now we are on to the lipstick, and let's start with that band first, and you'll get the idea of what I'm doing for shading, and then you can just watch the rest at hyper speed. So I'm starting with my dark. Coming in with my light and just going over what I've just done. Now the one thing you want to try and be aware of is keeping that highlight in the same place the whole way down. It really is much easier than it probably looks. If you love coloring, this will be right up your alley. Now we can only cut out one lipstick at a time. It's a fairly easy shape to cut out, and you may notice on here I actually ended up fussy cutting them. So I may just do that quickly, but the perfume bottle, well actually both of them I fussy cut, but I will do the bulk of it by the die, and then I will speed it up as I cut it out. And then we should be ready for assembly. I'm also going to cut out this stitch shape while I'm running this through. I'll be right back. Now it's not necessary to actually fussy cut these completely to the edge. I just preferred the look in this instance. I neither love nor hate fussy cutting. Sometimes I feel like it's a necessary means to an end, but you could totally leave this as is. I kind of went out of the lines, so that's probably what I did the first time and decided I needed to fussy cut. So I will just speed this part up and I'll be right back. Just going to leave the perfume bottle as is. With the lipstick, there is the option to just trace around the outside with a Stampin' Write marker, just to make it all the edges black, but I am not concerned with that. So what we're going to do now is it really just comes down to the assembly. So I am not going to adhere this yet, just on the off chance that I mess it up somehow. You can place these, you can color these whatever colors you want. You can place them in whatever order you want. I wanted them about like so. And then before I actually place them, I'm going to stamp my sentiment, the Be Bold as Your Lipstick, so that I know how close to put the lipstick tubes. I want to know how much space I have to work with. I'm gonna let that sit for a moment. I'll just adhere these while I'm waiting for that. You'll notice I haven't put my blends away yet. There is a reason for that. Because if you follow me, you know that I usually clean up as I go. Because I can't work in a mess. I think we all have our irks and our quirks, don't we? So try and space them fairly evenly. It doesn't have to be perfect. Got a little bit of glue outside the edge there. Okay, now we are going to take the darkest of all the three colors and just give it a scribble, as if we're testing the lipstick. And you want the brush tip end. See, so this is why it wasn't all that critical to have this sentiment stamped perfectly. So there we go. So now we are ready to adhere. I'm just gonna glue this. It's probably a little overboard, but that's okay. So you're gonna end up with a mat on all four sides. You can actually, you don't have to have a mat on this side. It's not going to interfere with the folding. It does kind of look nice. Then you can just see those. Now we can take this, which has been sitting and flattening out, and we want to center it left to right, top to bottom, and then we're just going to put glue on this side. So remember I said I had my right side facing out. That is so that if I, or the recipient of the card, open this part to see the back, we get the right side. And if I hadn't put that cardstock on, you would just see the perfume bottles, which would be okay, but I wanted a more finished, polished look. Okay, so that technically could be it, but it's not. We're gonna take this little frame and we are going to put it about there. I'm just gonna put a spot of glue on either side. You can put it on the back of this or the front of your card base, it's up to you. Line it up so that it's straight. Okay, so now we are going to glue our little perfume bottle on here. Just put a little line at the bottom. And then place it just so it covers that Hello Fabulous. Try and have it where it's centered, but if it's not the end of the world. Like, I don't want to have that bit of embossing showing, so there we go. And then I'm going to take my Noble Peacock rhinestones. Still making sure that there's no glue that's getting stuck. Probably be nothing worse than getting a fun fold that doesn't open. Oh, gee, thanks. You shouldn't have. Okay, so now we're just gonna take two of these little pink ones. I don't know what color that is. Lovely lipstick, maybe. Okay, so there we go. There's just one more step left, and that is to add our tassel. And I'm gonna take it one step further than I took it on my sample card. I'm going to get some Whisper White twine. And just run it around there, make sure that I cut it long enough. And for my additional step, I'm just gonna take my light and dark lovely lipstick. I'm gonna go about halfway down, maybe a little more, and just color those. Prevent getting this everywhere, I like to rub it between some paper towel, and look how much ink transfer you get. So it does dry lighter than when you first start. I just don't want to get a whole bunch on my fingers and then on the cardstock. But look at that, isn't it adorable? So now we can just tie our knot. You could color your twine as well if you wanted it to match. I am not going to go that far. I have done it, but I'm not going to do it on this project because we'll be here all day. But let's get this. I've got nothing to put there to hide it. Okay, we'll put my original sample there so you can see that that one was just a plain white one. I didn't color it at all. And then this one, colored it with the blend. So every other part of the card looks exactly the same, but look at the difference it makes with that colored tassel on there. Be as bold as your lipstick. I hope that you enjoyed that, and I hope to see you again soon, my crafty friends. Bye.